Hey guys, Mr. 3D Hero here, and in today's video, I'd like to talk to you about the new game mode that has just been introduced today in TitanFall 2. Now, this new game mode is something completely different than we usually get. Instead of us usually getting Mark for Death or TitanFall, for example, this one here is actually focusing on some improvements introducing for TitanFall 2 that could be, or could not be, introduced later on in the timeline for TitanFall 2. Now, basically, what they're basically doing here is that instead of them going through and adding, buffs and nerfs to certain weapons and then hearing from the community afterwards and how it usually breaks a certain weapon or a certain loadout or such, what they're basically doing is basically creating a room where players can go in, test out the new features, and then give feedback to the developers and hear from generally what they think is rather good or bad from us, the community, to developers, Respawn. So ideally, what we'll be doing is playing around in a player environment, testing out new patches or new buffs and such that don't actually apply to the whole game in total, just only for that one game mode. And then, as always, developers are going to take the feedback and they're going to see whether this actually works completely well, or whether this is going to be something that has to be taken out completely. And this is great because technically it's not breaking the game, and it's allowing the players here to actually give our kind of voice even more, see how it basically affects the game overall. Anyways, let's go into it anyway. So the details as shown says that pilot weapons TTK has been increased, amp weapons TTK has been increased, stim speed boost slightly decreased, this might affect some people. Phase shift has 1 charge. I know a lot of people are going to be absolutely happy with the phase shift being nerfed. Grapple has a slightly longer regen time. This is something that I'm kind of iffy about. I don't know why it's been slightly nerfed for. And silencers are broken in this test. I'm generally going to take this as, yes, silencers are broken in this test. There's not really much more information based upon that. But what this all technically means is that the TTK now has been slightly increased by, I believe, you have to kill them by, say, an extra bullet than normal. What this basically means is that someone like me, who uses the wall running and movement speed and mechanics around the game as efficiently as possible, I can basically be more accurate and more aware of my situation compared to how it was before. Now, think of this scenario. You are on complex, you're in the, the middle lane, you are trying to get the flank onto people, you start wall running, and then you start aiming at the person. You kill them, you kill one person, but another person sees you and starts firing at you. Usually, you'll be dead within, 3 to 4 hits, depending on the weapon. In this case here, though, it's going to be completely different. Because what it technically does is that you have to be as accurate as possible with your shots. This means that you can't spray and pray and hope that your shots will land. No. In this case now, it basically means that you have to be as accurate as possible with your shots. That means you need to know where the person is going. You need to aim directly at the person and make sure that that extra shot actually counts. So this technically means that for someone like me, who is kind of used to doing this, because I know how I always use the L-star and I always predict where a player is going to be, this basically means that for someone like me, I have to make sure my shots always land where they're going. And that's completely fine, because through gameplay, as you currently see, it plays completely well for me. I actually enjoy it. And the fact is, when I do get hit, I actually have enough situational awareness to know where I'm getting hit to and how to react differently. Some players now don't really see this as being fun. Some people think that this basically increases players' camping abilities. So technically, some players will find an area, and instead of them actually using the area for movement, they're going to actually find a nice little area, a nice little campy spot where, not many people can get them. Throw down the A wall with whatever weapon they have. Use a G2 and camp, and even more. And this shouldn't even be much of a problem because, if you're going to be camping with the G2, it basically means you have to find an extra shot. But, we don't talk about G2 players in this whatsoever. But through gameplay and through my experience of playing the game mode a lot, I've noticed that if not using the movement system in the game as efficiently as possible, you will lose a lot in this game. And I will tell this firsthand. The amount of game modes I have played where I have basically come first on this game mode because I use the movement speed as properly as possible, and I was basically predicting and using my shots and firing where I estimated players are going to be, has drastically improved my own gameplay. Like, I would enjoy if this game mode was actually just a full feature game mode instead of it being a 1 week limited game mode. For most players that I've seen, majority of them are always staying on the ground, and that is where you will always lose. Because every time I'm above in the air, it's much harder for you to fire back onto me. And this also means that players that are using the EPG or the Cold War also have a great advantage over everyone else. Because yes, there's still going to be a one shot, depending, but it also means basically that they have a higher chance of netting more kills compared to someone that's on the ground. Now don't get me wrong, you can still stay on the ground. You can still use your R101 or R201 if you want. The aim assist is still there, it's very strong, like always. But I've noticed that with the TTK now increased, it basically means that players have to be as accurate as possible and have to make sure that their shots are landing. If I'm coming at you at full speed in the air with my L-Star and I'm firing directly at you and you cannot keep track of me in the air, you will lose. And honestly, I enjoy it. I love this update. Well, say kind of brief update, and I hope they introduce in the game, because at the moment the community is kind of 50-50. Some people enjoy it, some people don't like it. Personally, for me, I like it, but I can understand why some people say they don't like it, and that's preferably because of these three things. One, stim speed being slightly decreased. That's something I can't generally get my head around, because stim is very balanced. Stim is, you know, kind of a one-off ability. The moment you use it, you have to wait till it recharges again, and it's not even that broken whatsoever. So why they gave it a slightly decrease, no one actually knows. The phase shift has now got one charge, so that's kind of reasonable, because phase shift actually needed a nerf, and I should know because I always main phase shift. But even with the one charge, it's still effectively good. I can still use it effectively within my environment, and I actually have to now predict when to actually use it to efficiently either save my life or basically try to get the catch onto people. And Grapple's kind of I'm slightly confused with Grapple as to why it's being slightly nerfed in this case. Grapple has a slightly longer regen time. This doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Grapple is very fat, it's very balanced. The only time I can actually agree where it actually needs to be slightly nerfed is when you're using it out of bounds, in outbounds area, and get into areas where not many other players will be able to reach. Okay, I understand that slight bit of, you know, nerving to prevent players from actually abusing it, but that'd be more map design, wouldn't it? So, in this case, why they slightly increase the grapple ability time, no one knows. And not a lot of people can actually use grapple effectively. Only about 1% of the community can actually use grapple and get from one end of the map to another while netting a number of kills. So why they decided to nerf it, no one knows. But I highly doubt that this is going to be introduced in the next patch, whenever that's going to be. But overall, I can genuinely say that this actual new featured game mode is quite nice, and I hope I see more of this in the nearby future, as what JFS Respawn actually mentions in Reddit. Hopefully we'll be getting more of these on a regular basis. Hopefully we'll be able to experiment and play around with different weapons and different loadouts, and actually try to balance it out to the point of where all the gear are balanced, but none of it is one-sided. So no one's going to be using the R101 and R201 and G2 all the time. Hopefully it will balance it out to make it so that players will actually be experimenting with other weapons. Because generally on console, what I currently see is I see a lot of people using R101, R201s, Hemlocks at times, and mainly G2s. And it's kind of sad. Because when I do find a small group of people that actually use other weapons like the EPG, the Cold War, the L-Star, or the SMR, it kind of tells me that this game is slowly, but not surely, slowly starting to kind of resemble Call of Duty. And that's kind of why I left Call of Duty, because I don't want this scenario where everyone uses the most meta weapons in the game actually occur again. But that's just my thoughts, and generally my thoughts don't really make that much difference to how the game is going to be developed. So anyways, thank you all for watching. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then leave a like, a comment, and subscribe for more. If you didn't like the content, then by all means leave a dislike. I understand, and I'll know where to improve on in the nearby future through your feedback, of course. So thank you all for watching, and I do hope to see you all again soon.